Marquise, in other words, the Mancheng of Changhua County in Zhejiang Province, set up private teaching facilities in Yuhang County, Zhejiang Province. He happened to go to the market. A lychee shell fell on its shoulder as it passed under a street attic. He looked up and saw a girl leaning on the railing of her penthouse arm. She was gorgeous and pretty, and looked at her like she was in a frenzy. The girl entered the attic door with a smile on her head. When I heard about her, I knew she was the daughter of the madam's mother, Jia. With a reputation and a high price tag, Mr. Hosogai knows it is hard to get his way. After returning to Shuzai, Mancheng pondered that he could not sleep all night. By tomorrow, he'll be at Jasmine's brothel, delivering a poster and meeting with Hero. The two were joking and very happy, and the whole life was even more enchanted by teenage girls. He borrowed money from his colleagues on the pretext of something, amassed some silver and took it with him. The two loved each other very well. The whole life is given to the Confucian king with a single sentence on the pillow: plaster copper plate, night is not yet young. Little musk in the bedside, new woman, tomorrow heavy makeup phoenix, no return of clouds and dreams. I'm filthy and mean, but I want to be adored by someone who truly loves me, said a melancholy voice. If you don't have a wife, can I call you home? Full of joy, immediately repeated orders, the two men made a vow of destiny, and made a lifetime. Poetry and all that stuff, I don't think it's hard, Jesus said happily. I'm afraid I'm not doing a very good job of trying to make a copy of it, which makes people laugh. If I could be with you, I'd like you to show me. He then asked the family how much land and house they had. Man replied, 50 acres of thin fields, a few broken houses. When I marry you, we must be together every day and stop going out to teach, Mr. Jesus said, 40 acres of land will be self-sufficient. 10 acres of land can be used to grow corn, and 5 horns can be woven. And there's still time to pay taxes in the typing period. So we can close our doors, you read, I weave handkerchiefs. Spend leisure days, poetry and wine. What's so precious about the 1,000 families? Man said. What's your estimated worth? With the greed of her mother, how can she be satisfied? At most, 200 taels of silver is enough. It is a pity that I am young and don't know how to value money, that I always give money to my mother, and that I have little savings. If you can raise 100 taels of silver, then you shouldn't have to worry. Man said, if you're lonely like me, you know it. How can 100 silver dollars do it yourself? I had a friend who had sworn an oath together in Dangji County, Hunan Province, and asked me to come to his place several times, because I was afraid of the difficult road because of the long distance. Today, for your sake, I'm going to go to him now and find a way to raise the silver. I expect you to be back in 3 or 4 months. I hope you'll be patient. Jesus said yes. Mancheng immediately gave up teaching and went to Hunan to find friends. When he got there, the county order had been removed from his official post, and he was living in a private house with empty pockets that could not be given to him. Frustrated and unable to return to Yuhang, I had to spend my days teaching in the county. After 3 years, I still can't go home. At one point, Mr. Manchu accidentally beat a student with a ring ruler, and the student threw himself into the water. The parents, deploring the children, sued the teacher and the whole family was jailed. Thankfully, there were other students, and the poor teacher was not at fault, and often gave him food, clothing and other things, and did not suffer particularly. Saiho has not received any guests since his departure from Mansei. When Ms. Jia asked why she couldn't force her to change her mind, she let her. A rich merchant, who has long admired Hu's reputation, asked the matchmaker to pay tribute to Jia, and promised to marry Hu at any cost. Fine. No. The rich businessmen went to Hunan province for business, and they carefully explored the news of Mancheng. At that point, the prison was about to release the full life, and rich businessmen paid off the official in charge of the prisoner with silver money, keeping him permanently confined. The rich businessman came back and told the madam, the whole life is in prison. Mr. Hosogo's suspicions about wealthy businessmen are not always true. Needless to say, life is dead, Jia says. If not, How can you dress up in silk and eat delicious food with rich businessmen rather than live a life of misery? I'm not happy to be with a dirty businessman, Hosago said. Besides, how can you be credulous about that kind of passerby rumor? The rich merchant has no business making a living, telling another merchant to pretend to send a life-threatening letter to the queen in order to sever her hopes for the queen. Hosho received this fake fatwa and wept from morning to night. I raised you from a young age, says Jia. It was hard work. You've only grown up for 2 or 3 years, and you're not going to get much of a payback. If you don't want to be a prostitute and you don't want to marry, what will you do to get on with your life? He married the rich man. The rich merchants supply fine clothes and hairpin rings with a great deal of luxury. More than a year later, a boy was born in Shihu. Soon after, Mr. Manchu was released from prison with the help of his students, Zhu. Only then did he realize that the rich businessman had conspired to keep him in prison, but wanted nothing to do with the rich businessman's death, and could not understand the reason for it. The student spontaneously paid for his travel expenses and returned home. When he heard the news that Shihu had been married, he was very upset, so he sent his grief to the old lady who sold milk on the market. It is sad to learn that this is the only way to realize that all the old claims of being dead are conspiracies of rich businessmen. She took advantage of the wealthy to go out of town, killed the children in her arms, and carried things all over the place. The clothes and jewelry of the wealthy did not go away. When the rich businessmen returned home, they complained angrily to the government office. After an investigation, the government found out the truth of the matter and put the rich businessman's case on hold without trial. What is different from the return of Guan Yunshan from Kaohsiung to Shuan when the 3 countries were in China? But who killed his son and laughed? He's a tough man.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.